And we are now live streaming across Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. How you doing out there? I'm Tim. What's up, Lance? How's it going?
What is going on? I'm doing pretty well. How are you, Tim?
I'm doing good. This is an impromptu little live streaming appearance. We actually are recording an intro and an outro for episode 1 of our third podcast, our third most frequent podcast, I guess. It's called Empty Frames, and it's mostly about art crime and specifically the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist in Boston of 1990.
Yep.
And we've done 2 seasons, 18 episodes. We're setting the deck now for 12 more episodes for season 3.
Yeah, and if anybody is familiar with it, Empty Frame season 1, like you said, was about the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist that happened in Boston in 1990. It is probably considered to be the most valuable art heist in history, the most valuable heist of public or private property, technically, in history. You can ask anybody. It ranges anywhere from $500 million to $1 billion worth of artwork and artifacts that were stolen that night. Season 2 of Empty Frames was a shorter season, sort of a bridge season, where we talked about other art crime and other art moments, like significant moments in art culture. And what's up, everybody who's just suddenly joined? That's cool. Sarah.
Very cool.
Elsie, Shannon,
and Shannon.
So what?
Oh, Elise. Dyslexic. You're dyslexic. I'm saying. You said
I am dyslexic. Oh no, Elise. Sorry.
But hello, everybody in the chat room. How's it going?
So now we're coming back with season 3 of Empty Frames, and we have a, without hyperbole, a real heavy hitter to kick us off.
We really do. And let me kind of set the deck here, like with a proper intro, because what we're actually doing to those who are watching live, again, is we are doing an intro for episode 1 of season 3 of our art crime show, Empty Frames. So let me just kind of set the deck and introduce this, Lance, and we're actually going to use this on the podcast audio next week. And Elise says her whole life people have called her Elsie. Yeah. Good morning, Dr. Shiloh is there at 8:25 a.m.
Yeah, I want to. Oh yeah, good job, Dr. Shiloh. I just want to say, it does look like Elise. I mean, I could. Elsie, Elise, it does look like both.
The lowercase L and the I, from when it's small on the screen, you can't really tell, what the order is. So I don't fault you for that. But of course, I would never make that mistake because I have perfect vision.
Right. I do not. I have less than perfect vision.
Yeah. What's up? Jason Watts in the chat room as well.
Jay Watts.
All right, this is great. So we are doing an Empty Frames intro for episode 1 of season 3. So let me set the deck, and then we can be a little more interactive here. Okay. Welcome to Empty Frames. I am Tim, being joined by Lance. Lance, how are you today?
I couldn't be better. How are you today, Tim?
Also couldn't be better because we're back. This is season 3 of Empty Frames. Of course, this is episode 1, and what a momentous occasion.
It really is. We did season 1 all about Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist, 1990 in Boston. Season 2 was the bridge season, where we focused on other art crimes and moments in art culture. And if anyone's asking why there was such a gap between the seasons, there's a bit of a roadblock when you're trying to get information about the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. There's only a handful of people that sort of contain and they contain the information. They keep it close to them, and they're the experts, and you have to really do a lot of legwork to pull in information from outside sources that aren't typically associated with the heist or the research of the heist or the museum.
Well, Lance, you're kind of giving our audience a peek behind the curtain a little bit of what we've had to do to produce Empty Frames. And of course, there was another podcast called Last Seen that was done about the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist. The Boston Globe has written several articles, and they were part of that podcast. So they do kind of have a local stronghold on the story. And again, we've never really talked about this or, the struggles in producing this show, which really is based on trying to help the community recover this art. So this is kind of an introduction to that. And I don't know where this season's going to go, Lance, but our guest here in episode 1 is quite the boat rocker. His name is Casey Sherman, and he's a really prolific author and filmmaker.
Right. And he is also a local man from Boston, very familiar with the heist, very familiar with the players that are involved in the museum and I guess in a sense the recovery effort. But this is where it gets a little tricky, right? The recovery effort is debatable. They have a particular way, the museum, when I say they, I mean the museum, they have a particular way where they want to recover the artwork. They want it all returned. They have a reward on it. It has to be in reasonable condition and all together. And season 3, like you said, is going to be heavily focused on the recovery effort. Season 1 kind of set the stage for the players. But honestly, at this point, it doesn't really matter who pulled off the heist. What matters is putting those pieces of art back where they should be in Isabella Stewart Gardner, in her home, in her museum that she created. Those things need to go back on the walls and people need to appreciate them. And when we talk to Casey, we're really towing the line of like, what is this? Is this an industry for the museum? Is the board of the museum actually purposely not putting out a recovery plan that is reasonable just to continue this, just to perpetuate the heist?
Shots
That's
fired.
No, that is my biggest question. Because if you have this that you care about, you say that it is important to culture to get these pieces of art back, and every year you have your anniversaries, and we wanted to talk about the security director Anthony Amore. He did the walking tour of the museum during the anniversary over St. Patrick's Day. It was a virtual walking tour. The heist walk.
Yeah, is what they call it. And obviously the quarantine has kind of closed the museum, and not kind of, it's closed currently. Hopefully we'll be open at some point. But yeah, so I to your point, they are now really opening up, or sort of pressing the gas pedal on promoting the heist. And, I think it's a great thing, to be honest. I think they should.
Well, I think they should promote the heist. If you're saying they being the board, I think they should promote the heist, but I think they should also be very open to another sort of recovery effort if they're genuine in their desire to get that artwork back and put it back on the walls. If they're actually genuine about that, they would listen to people like Casey Sherman and Turbo Paul. They fully support a recovery effort where it's a price list. If you have, I mean, realistically, those pieces of art, they're not all together. If they were all together, the recovery would be so much easier. They would have been found by now if they were all together. Those things are spread out. They were used for various purposes. And if someone has one, you can simply return it. No questions asked. So there's a price list for it. Here's what each one's worth. That's a no-brainer. You want to get the ball rolling on this, show a little goodwill. And they're not doing that. They're just sticking to their guns.
I love it. Okay, everybody. Well, let's play the interview with author Casey Sherman, and we're going to get more into these points in the outro, and we're going to discuss the interview with Casey and all the points that he hits. We'll kind of go over them. And so check out Casey's work. He's written a book called Bad Blood. That was about the Lico Kenny, Bruce McKay, and Greg Floyd triangle of fate, as we like to call it.
Trifecta of violence.
Yeah. And he's also written a book about Tom Brady called 12 that'll be out in September. And his newest book that is coming out in May, at the end of May, it's called Hunting Whitey, about Whitey Bulger. So check out Casey Sherman's books. He's got a bunch of them.
Yeah, I also want to bring up the book A Rose for Mary. Not a lot of people know he wrote this book in 2003. His aunt, Mary, was one of the last victims, or one of the last victims that Albert DeSalvo confessed to. He was allegedly the Boston Strangler. So Casey Sherman has a direct link to the Boston Strangler, or at least to Albert DeSalvo.
Entrenched in the Gardner entrenched in the city of Boston and its culture. He's been working as a journalist for years in the city, and he writes for the Boston Herald, an institution. So I definitely agree that he is a voice that needs to be heard.
This is good. This is good trying to keep a straight face when people are talking about a field trip to the American Crime Fest.
I know this is a lot of fun.
Really fun.
Doing this with a live audience here.
Sarah's got to hop off because she has to go fly around Arizona and like a superhero and implement justice.
Oh man. Okay, let's do this outro now. I'd like to start doing this for Crawlspace and Missing More Marty too. We talked about doing this. I think we should maybe start doing this week if we can get people here. This is fun to do. It might as well be a cool kind of peek behind the curtain.
Oh my God! We're once again revolutionizing the podcast landscape.
Once again, it's hard not to when you're Tim and Lance. I mean, I don't know.
I know. I would have worn something better. I would have worn something like, I don't know. I would have worn my ball gown.
I can't possibly have worn anything better than my Crawlspace hoodie.
Oh man!
Available in the Zazzle store.
Let me get my Crawlspace hat.
I've worn it officially every day of quarantine so far.
Hey, the quarantine has been like 6 weeks.
Yeah, I know. I'm not. Yeah, it's been longer actually, 8 weeks or longer. Check it out.
The next time you see Tim, he's going to be missing an eye. He's going to have a Crawlspace eye patch. Go!
Got it. It's a murder hornet.
You know what? That could be a murder hornet fighter.
This thing is so fun. Oh my God. I had to do that live. I was just playing around with it earlier before we went live. I was flying into my living room yesterday with the kids. Like, it's actually easy to control. I wasn't worried about hurting them. And these things are like flexible plastic, so they're not
they won't
dangerous.
They won't fully amputate.
Decapitate. Yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Oh, tell us a ghost story, Lance. I'll tell you a quick story that that happened yesterday. Okay, two quick stories. One quick story is before my girlfriend and I went to bed the other night, I went into the room and there's like a door that goes between one room and another, and I shut that. And then I left. It was really, really cold out, and it was cold in the room. So we have these heating splits, and I turned that one on and I shut the door. That was the purpose of shutting two doors, was because I just wanted to heat the room real quick. And I brushed my teeth. I go back out, both doors wide open. Wasn't my girlfriend. She was with me the whole time. Both doors wide open. And then the other story was that my girlfriend actually played a joke on me. We got back from walking Eric yesterday, and she was like, "Do you see that up in the window?" And she had me going. She was like, "It looks like a face." And I'm like, "Where?" And she's like, "The window right there over the garage roof." And I was like, "What?" And she's saying, "Yeah, it looks like a face. It looks like it's like coming in and out." And I was like, "You're joking." And she had me going. And what really put me over the top as far as being had by this joke was that she said, "Did you lock the door? Maybe someone could have just come in." I was like, oh, maybe someone did just go in, because if, maybe I forgot to lock the door. Then I started thinking maybe the old owners of the house. And then I was 2 seconds away from, I had my hand on my phone. I was going into the house to check out this room to make sure that no one was in there. And she told me she was just kidding. So two quick stories.
That rascal.
Yeah. Yeah, the old owners from 1892. 1830, actually. I'm not that brave, Shannon.
What did she say? Oh, brave.
No, I was actually, there was a lot of urine going down my leg.
Are you scared for real though? Like, is it weird, freaky?
No. It actually feels really comfortable here. It feels like if there is anything here, then I feel like they have a sense of humor.
You're so screwed though. Like if you're saying that. If you're like, oh no, I like them. I like them now.
Yeah. Oh, the voice.
Like now I can't live without them now.
Yeah. I can't. They keep talking to me. Yeah, no, I don't know about the voices. That's a real quick story too. She just came out of the bathroom and she was like, I heard a voice in there. I heard a woman's voice. And
she really did.
Yeah. Yeah.
This wasn't part of, okay.
No. She, and I went in there and I was like, where were you? And she was like, right there. So I shut the door and I sat there for a little bit and I didn't hear anything. And yeah, no, she said it was a woman's voice saying no. And I was like, was it like upset or anything? She was like, no, almost like she was talking to a child, like telling the child like, no, like that. Hey, it could have been the neighbors. I don't know. Could have been the neighbors coming up through the bathtub.
Could have been the grudge.
Could have been the grudge.
All right. Let's hit some of these points from Casey's interview here. All right, Lance, that was the interview with Casey Sherman. He was not shy.
Well, I really kind of expected that from Casey Sherman, being a grizzled Bostonian like he is. He really is entrenched in everything Boston, and that's part of the culture. No punches pulled. Nothing that he's going to say is not verifiable. Everything he can back up. Everything that he says about people like Anthony Amore, he's said to Anthony Amore, and even says Anthony Amore is my friend. You know, he's told us that Anthony Amore is my friend, but here's some issues that I have. I think there should be a time in every case that needs this, which is somebody who's like, I just need to speak out. I can't worry about being polite.
Yeah, and he's written some articles for the Boston Herald, and to your point, he has kind of said some of this stuff. So it comes from a place deep down from him. This comes from a place that he really believes that this should be changed. And you know, speaking about the recovery effort, how can you disagree? It's really hard to disagree with what seems like no progress. And it's a little hard for us to say, oh, there's been no progress. And, you know, no, for sure, because we don't know. You know, we have no clue, to be honest. I don't know what kind of job Anthony Amore has done. I don't know him. He's never given us the opportunity to really talk to him. So it's hard for us to say he's done a bad job. I can't even say that. But it does seem like, from our point of view, that things should be different by now. Things could have maybe been recovered. I don't know that. It seems like it's been 30 years. It should have been. And this reward price list is the most reasonable thing I've heard. And what's completely unreasonable is not considering it.
You have to wonder what FBI agent Jeff Kelly does, because Jeff Kelly is the person in charge of this investigation. And I'm not trying to be like snarky about it, but if
you just bringing your flamethrower to the Boston FBI.
It's not a flamethrower yet, but you know, we live. This is a great crime to compare to a sports franchise, and we even did it with Casey a little bit. If the New England Patriots,
he wrote it. Yeah, this was in his article. Yeah,
this was in his article. If Bill Belichick would be kicked out of town if he was here for more than 5 years and did not produce a win. And you're talking about an organization that has not produced a single win since 1990.
Well, let me get the quote, because I think it's actually playoff win. I think that's the actual comparison. Sorry to be a stickler on this, but yeah, if we're gonna talk about the thing that he actually wrote.
Shannon, that Vermeer's at least 25 million.
It's like the very first line or something. see here. Yeah, because it's confusing because Brian, Mr. K, has also said something similar in the past, but he actually put it in print. So I just want to see if we can find that.
Are you looking at the Herald article?
Yeah, I thought it was in one of those.
I thought it was too.
It definitely is. Because I would like to mention the name of the article. It's like he's like, oh, we in Boston, we have our sports teams, and where is this? But it is a good point. Yeah, where the heck is this?
Well, poop.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't in one of those articles. Yeah, he says it. He says it was his words, though. I swear I saw it in one of those articles.
Yeah,
It's definitely in one of them. Maybe it was the one that didn't get printed, the one that he wrote for Boston Magazine that didn't actually get printed.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, anyway, I guess let's skip the specificity of it.
Okay.
Sorry to derail the
rant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't be specific about it.
Okay.
Let's see.
So I think what I said was Casey Sherman. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it?
So Casey Sherman is someone who should be listened to, and it's unreasonable not to listen to him.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yep. So you have to take that and put it into perspective of anything else that has produced nothing since 1990. If your task is to produce a win and you haven't done anything since 1990, yes, it is very unreasonable to not entertain other options on how to produce that win.
Right. And he also mentions Arthur Brand in the interview. And we had an interview with Arthur Brand in season 1. It was an episode called Art Brand, which is sort of a convenient name for a fellow who recovers stolen art or lost art. He's like the modern day Indiana Jones. And it's not like I just made that up. Everyone calls him that. He's the only guy that you would say, hey, if someone asked who's Indiana Jones, if he was alive today, the answer is Arthur Brand.
Yeah, he's got a track record of recovery that's amazing, from Nazi stolen artwork to the work that he has done for the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, and he's kind of not treated with the level of respect that he thinks he should be treated by the museum.
Amore sort of scoffed at it, is what Casey Sherman said. And is scoffed at the idea specifically of bringing Arthur Brand on to help the recovery efforts. And, just again, like the price list, like the reward price list, I don't understand why it wouldn't be considered. It doesn't really make sense to me. It seems logical. Now, I know everything can't be taken in, but I think there've been a lot of ideas presented in the public over the past few years, especially because of the podcast Last Seen and because of our podcast. And apparently there's a new documentary coming out. So more than ever has there been internet rumblings about the Gardner heist. Internet's still growing, part of the reason too. But these are two boiled down ideas, is my point. And they're really good ideas. I feel like it's just it's really hard. I can't defend not considering these ideas, and maybe they have been considered. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really confusing to me as well, because what we're talking about is the recovery of these pieces of art, and all we end up seeing out there from the people who are granted access to the information and to the museum, there's only a select group of people, and from the media like WBUR and the Boston Globe, who produced Last Seen, they were granted access to the information and to the museum. And it's always focused on the usual cast of characters, the usual suspects. It's always focused on the IRA and Whitey Bulger and William Youngworth and all of the cast of characters that that just are in this like circle of who done it. Miles Connor, all in this like who done it, when some effort and some money could be put towards. And when I say money, if Arthur Brand is charging them money to do this, that is money well spent. Are you going to, if they actually wanted to put effort into the recovery, why are they producing a multi-part limited series called Last Scene and not putting finances towards Arthur Brand?
Well, who said track record? Well, who said Arthur Brand's asking for finances? I mean, I don't know. I'm not his agent or whatnot, but I don't even think that he is. I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, again,
I don't know how he gets paid, but if that's what it comes down to, like, well, we can't afford Arthur Brand. Okay, then maybe you should reconsider what you can afford, because how much money did it take to produce Last Scene and to send people across the ocean to check out a league that isn't gonna play out? I mean, you think the IRA is going to be like, oh yeah, that Vermeer. Oh, you're the Globe. Oh, if only the Globe had reached out before. The IRA? No, they're not giving it up if they have it.
I think a wise guy looks at the reward as it's stated in good condition and all the items together, and they laugh at it. I'll be honest. Doesn't it seem like, I mean, we hear it from a former thief in Turbo, and we'll hear it in an episode coming up real soon on Empty Frame season 3. It's a joke. The way it's formed is a joke. It needs to be adjusted.
Yeah. And it was a joke way back in the day when they thought that they had recovered the artwork, when Tom Mashberg went to the warehouse in Red Hook, Brooklyn, to see all of these like rolled up alleged paintings that were stolen from the museum. And he saw the Sea of Galilee, the storm on the Sea of Galilee, which was unrolled in front of him. And then all the art experts were like, that's impossible. There's way too much lacquer on there. There's way too much finish on there. That would have been destroyed if you'd rolled it up. I thought that was put to bed then. Like, these pieces of art are not going to be returned in good condition. They're not even going to be returned in poor condition. They're going to be returned in horrible condition, just because like you can't keep them for 30 plus years just in the elements. I mean, this is something that,
I'm not an art expert. I'm not an art expert, so I don't know what the likelihood of them returning it after 30 years are. I don't know what the likelihood of 13 pieces of stolen artwork are still likely to be together at this point. It seems unlikely to me, but again, I'm no expert. You know who is, though, is Anthony Amore. He's written several books on art recovery or art, stolen art. So this is something that should be put into play. Like, he is a smart guy. He's talented. He's written books on the subject to go ahead.
He's written books on the subject while he's been employed as a security director at a museum. So yes, he should know. He should be an expert.
So he does know those things. So, I mean, maybe he knows that they are all together, you know what I mean? But whatever, it hasn't worked, and it is too bad. I think the city of Boston and the world, they need these back.
We need them back for ratings.
I mean, imagine the amount of visitors that would visit the museum with them back. I mean, honestly, seeing the empty frame is kind of interesting, but seeing the actual painting would be so much better.
Oh my God. I mean, if they had like a marketing team there that actually was worth their weight in gold, is that the saying? If they had a marketing team there that could have some foresight, yeah, you do get some people there that go to see the empty frames. But imagine if you got them back and you put them back on the wall in the condition that they were found, and then you had a retrospective right next to it, like a little digital retrospective. Here's what they looked like before they were stolen. Here's some images of the empty frames, and here's what they look like now. You can see them on the wall. There'd be lines out the door. They would have media there for years. Every anniversary, you could go there. This could be a juggernaut.
And then they wouldn't.
Blows my mind that they haven't thought of this.
And they wouldn't have to be conflicted about sort of promoting or profiting the heist. They can still do the heist walk. This is what happened. It's a fact. That's what happened at one point in 1990.
Absolutely. But I will say,
we're sliving on Get Vocal Morph.
Uh-oh. Get Vocal has Mike Morford in the house.
He says we're living on Get Vocal.
Yeah. No, we're sliving, yeah. I will say this. Everything that we talk about with the heist really does not affect our impression and our feeling and our admiration of the museum and the woman who built it. Go to Gardner Museum.
Oh, God, sorry.
Go to gardnermuseum.org. Check out everything they have going on. Once we're out of isolation, if you're able to, get out there to the Fenway neighborhood of Boston and check out that museum. It's absolutely gorgeous. You could go through that whole museum and not look at the empty frames, not even think about the heist, and still be really floored by how beautiful it is.
The artwork is incredible. The building was built specifically to be this display of this incredible collection, this personal collection of Isabella Stewart Gardner, and she lived above the museum, and it is a beautiful courtyard, beautiful architecture. I agree, Lance. I love it so much, with so much of my heart, that I want this artwork back, and we're just trying to do the right thing. If we sound frustrated, it's because we've kind of been dealing with some sort of bizarre politics to us, to be honest, in producing this show. And we're just trying to help. And so I hope we're pushing in the right direction at this point. And we'll be back in 2 weeks to push more.
Push more. And Shannon, thank you for listening to the podcast 100 times. My only question is, why isn't it 101? Get back to listening.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. And hey, how's my internet? Is it holding up pretty well?
It's actually, Actually, I didn't even notice it. Yeah.
Oh, good. Because I'm kind of daisy chaining some stuff together.
Wow. Well done. It looks, so you've hardwired through a daisy chain.
I have hardwired. I took one of the boosters, hardwired that into the computer, and then set another booster from there.
Well done.
On Sunday, get this, on Sunday, I'm still talking into the mic like we're doing an episode. So this is all recorded. On Sunday, I'm getting this thing called a power cable adapter, and you plug it into an outlet next to your modem, and then you plug it into the room where you need the internet, and the internet runs through your power lines. So it's almost as good as being hardwired. I've done a lot of research.
Okay, let me know how that works. I'm curious.
Yeah. You'll know on Sunday.
Okay, yeah. I don't really have too much of a problem with my internet, but after talking to Gray Hughes, I kind of want faster internet.
Gray Hughes needs to relax. He's like, oh yeah, look at my speed. It's like 900 megabytes per second. You don't need that.
He's actually digital.
Yeah, he digitized himself.
Hey, Morph, we're stealing him from you. You back off. All right, let's just wrap this up here.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening. Follow us on Twitter.
Check out all our shows on crawlspace-media.org, and feel free to swing by.
Sorry.
Oh shit! I was thinking private. Let me do it again. .org. And check out all our shows at crawlspace-media.com. And also swing by Private Investigations for the Missing. That is investigationsforthemissing.org.
All right, cool. I am cutting. I think we did it. Good job. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast here. Thank you, everybody, for viewing. Yes, please check back in tonight. We're going to be doing this live at 9 p.m. Eastern on Get Vocal. If you're watching this on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube right now, you can watch it there again still tonight at 9. But the best place to interact is on Get Vocal, because we can see your comments and it's a lot easier to chat with you. We can actually bring you on screen too.
Yeah, we'll just drag you on, kicking and screaming.
Drag your butt right on.
Drag your butt on, and we're going to extort all the V coins out of you.